1 microliter is enough to fit the end of this ballpoint pen. No, literally, the actual ball at the end of this ballpoint pen. Welcome to Bio 1310, and I want to talk to you about micropipettes and microscopes. Micropipettes are basically the main weapon of biology. Our set contains 3, the P1000, which is the largest, the P200, which is the middle size, and last of all, the smallest P20. Let's start off with the middle P200. The top shows us the name of the pipette as well as the volume range. Here the P200 range is 50 to 200 microliters. The digits off to the side display what volume the P200 is currently set at. In this case, it was at 200 microliters. We can change the volume by rolling the black scroll wheel off to the side. Here I'm changing it to 190 and then back to 200. Things get a bit more complicated at the P1000. The range here is 200 to 1000 microliters, but if you look at the side, there's only 3 digits. That's because the red digit represents the thousands place. 100 means 1000 microliters. 080 then means 800 microliters. The tick marks at the bottom can be used if you want to get down to the single digits row. The last one here is the P20, which ranges from 2 to 20 microliters. Like before, there's only 3 digits on the side. In this case, the red digit represents the decimal point. 200 means 20.0, and then 180 means 18.0. It goes without saying to make sure you know which pipette you're holding onto so you don't accidentally try to crank out 200 microliters out of a P20. Not good. On each station are these fancy pipette tip boxes. The zebra tape means that they're properly sterilized. Peeling them off and popping the top should look something like this. To use them, we can take the P1000 and stab it on the ends kind of like this. Notice that there's no clicking or snaps, it's just a simple wedge on the tip. Smaller pipettes need smaller tips, so here we have the yellow tip boxes. Same as before, we can use the P200 to wedge on the tip at the end. These tips are compatible with the P20s too. In all cases, make sure that the tips aren't wedged too loose or they may fall off accidentally. Let's say, for example, I want to use this P1000. The volume is 055. Remember that the red digit is the thousands place, so 055 is 550 microliters. If I press the thumb all the way down, you should feel 2 different stops. The first easy half pipettes the currently set volume. The harder half pushes out air. Here we have green science solution. I want to pipette some of this into the empty beaker. So I'm holding an armed P20 set at 195. Remember, that means 19.5 microliters, not 195 microliters. I'm going to press down just to the first stop and submerge the end into the solution. Then I'm going to slowly release the thumb to take in my 19.5. Transfer this into the new container like this. This time I'm going to press all the way down past the first stop, pushing out my volume and then also some air. The extra air bubbles to make sure that we get every drop, which can be huge when dealing with such small volumes. In all pipettes, solutions should always be seen in the clear pipette tip, even when they're set at their max volumes. Nothing actually goes into the pipette mechanism. If you've got shaky hands, a pro tip is to press against the sidewall like this in order to guide the tip into the container and to also help draw out the volume without any splashes or blowing air bubbles into your soda. The last white button here is used to eject the tips so that you can shoot them at your friends. Just kidding, safely dispose of your tips into the waste containers like this so that we don't accidentally double dip your nacho chips and reuse these pipette tips. Here we will be using microscopes, starting off with the dissecting scope. The top wheel here is the zoom in and zoom out, and the bottom wheel here is the focuser. The directional buttons at the base controls the light settings, including different angles and also the brightness. Appropriately named, the dissecting scope is not exactly the strongest scope, but you can still kind of see some gnarly shots like this at the end of this room key here. The real star of the show is the microscope. The top is the adjustable ocular lens, and the swivel bottom is the rotatable objective lens. The three objective lenses that we'll use here are the red 4x, yellow 10x, and finally the blue 40x. The last lens here is a special oil immersion lens, but in this lab we'll be sticking to just the first three. Moving on down, we have here which are the stage clips. Over here are the stage movers, kind of works like a reverse etch and sketch, and the focuser wheel that's on the back that is divided into the coarse focuser and also the fine focuser. Light is mainly controlled by the condenser located just below the stage. The general idea is that you need more light the closer that you zoom in. More light, however, does not mean better, so be sure that you adjust accordingly as you move up so you don't blind yourself. If that's still not enough, the scroll wheel off to the side is a dimmer switch. Before using the scopes, we use what's called the start position. This means that we start with the lowest light, lowest objective lens, and also the lowest stage. When ready, I'll seatbelt my glass slide like this. The metal clip sits on the side of the slide and not on top. I'll start by turning on the light just enough for me to see where the spotlight is. Using the stage control knobs, I'm going to move the subject into the center of field. Since I'm at the low 4x red objective, I'm going to roll the coarse focuser to move the stage up. The beauty of the start position is that there's only one direction to go anyways. Once centered and focused, you can power up to the 10x yellow objective, and then repeat the process again. Just like the light intensity, more power is not always better, so adjust according to the subject that you're aiming at. If you ever get to the 40x blue objective, things get a little touchy. In this case, we'll be using only the smaller fine focuser. At this strength, even a person coughing at your table is enough to shake your microscope view. You may notice that these very expensive lenses might get, nervously close to scratching the glass slide. It's important to always take your eyes off the scope for a second and just look plainly on the glass slide as you rotate to a higher lens. If you ever get lost, power down the stage and restart. It saves way more time. Last of all, you always move to the scope. Never slide the scope to somebody else. If you ever do need to move the scope, power everything down and hold the handle in the back or the base at the bottom. You'll for sure see these guys again, so get your practice in now and have fun. Good luck!